What is up, guys? This is going to be my in-depth Mekk Knight guide. Now, before I get into this, look, the YDK for this, which is the deck list, essentially, it's in the description. So if you want to try this deck out for yourself and you can't be bothered to copy all of these cards into YGO Pro or whatever, just go into the description. It's going to be right there for you to download and try it out. I really highly recommend it. This deck is so fun to play. Don't forget to leave a comment and let me know how it went for you. Or if you've got any tips for me on how I can improve this deck, leave a comment too, because I want to get better at the game as well. But anyway, let's get into it. So to start off with, we are going to be playing the three best Mekk Knights at 3. So that's 3 purple Nightfall, 3 blue sky, and 3 Orcus Gearsu. So purple Nightfall and blue sky are amazing. Obviously your main combo starters, and they can search any Mekk Knight card, which is really nice. Orcus Gearsu is also allows you to facilitate the World Legacy combo, which is quite nice, and it's also a 1 card Morning Star as well, which is pretty good as well. So just really good cards. We definitely always want to see these cards in our opening hands. Then the Mekk Knights we play at 1. We play 1 Indigo Eclipse, 1 Red Moon, and 1 Yellow Star. So Indigo, obviously the whole sliding to the left and right thing is just so effective for Mekk Knights, and it really allows you to abuse your column control playstyle. It's also nice with Morning Star to protect your monsters. Then we've got Red Moon and Yellow Star for just spot removal, which is great. Red Moon is going to destroy monsters, Yellow Star is going to destroy spells and traps. I really think Yellow Star is great this format. I actually removed it last format, but this format I've put it back in because of things like Buster Lock, which is like, it's nice to have on-demand spell and trap removal. So many ridiculous cards, ridiculous decks are doing the Union Carrier combo, and so it's nice having a card like that that can just instantly get rid of that, and now you can use your extra deck again. Then moving on from that, we play 1 World Legacy World Armor. Now this is our target to be sent off Orcus Gearsu, and it's nice just because obviously when we go into Lib, we can bring this back and get a free search of any other World Legacy cards, which we do play a lot of. Then moving on to the World Legacy spells and traps, we play quite a few. So we play 3 World Legacy's Memory, a really good card, basically emergency teleport for any of your Mekk Knights, but instead of destroying them in the end phase, it returns them to the hand during the end phase. We are going to play 1 World Legacy Key. World Legacy Key, really good card. So this, when it's activated, it allows you to return a banished Mekk Knight or World Legacy card to your hand. However, the main reason why I play it is because it negates any opponent's trap effects that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight you control. Really good card, negating traps. Then we play 1 World Legacy Scars. So this card is the field spell. The main reason why I do play this is for the FTK potential. I do think it's worth playing it because people just aren't prepared for it, and it wins me a lot of games just doing that FTK when no one realizes it. What's good as well is you don't have to do this on the first turn. You can do this midway through the duel, and it has the same effect of just kind of completely destroying your opponent's ability to grind and play the game with you. So its effect, essentially, you can discard a Mekk Knight or World Legacy card to draw a card, or you can banish 8 Mekk Knights with different names from your graveyard and face up from your field, send your opponent's entire hand and extra to the graveyard. Amazing effect. I really do think it's worth playing. We play 1 World Legacy Succession, basically monster reborn to a zone and link monster per points too. Then the World Legacy Traps, we play 1 World Legacy Whispers, so you can target a level 5 or higher monster on the field. It gains 1000 attack or defense at the end of the turn, negates any opponent's spell effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight you control. Now, one thing I'm going to actually quickly go, I'll explain secrets first. So we play 2 secrets as well. Allows you to special summon a Mekk Knight from the graveyard, then negates any monster effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight monster you control. Now you have to be careful with these negations because the way they work is they negate effects that activate in the same column. So a really good example is Pancratops. If they try and use something like Pancratops in the zone a Mekk Knight is in, Pancratops will still be negated because even though it's left the field, your cards care about where the cards were activated, not about where they're resolved. So you need to be careful of that, but that's actually a real big strength of this deck, especially against something like Dinos who are often going to bring out a Pancratops. One of the ways I often do is they'll use their Pancratops, I'll slide a card into the same zone with Indigo Eclipse, and suddenly they're negated and they don't know why. But yeah, that is the Mekk Knight and World Legacy package. Really great cards. Now I also play a pretty big kind of hand trap board breaker / lineup, just because I think it's crucially important for this deck to really focus on disrupting your opponent. The main deck is quite strong, but you just need that little bit of oomph to continue to prevent your opponent from playing. So we're going to be playing 3 Nibiru. Nibiru is an amazing card this format. It just destroys so many decks, and it also creates a column for you. It's going to eviscerate Rogue, and then when it comes to the meta decks, occasionally it won't be amazing. Things like Dragon Link sometimes can play through it, but the reason why I really do like Nibiru is obviously its ability to set up a column for you is amazing. We then play you 3 Cyframe Gamma and 1 Driver. That package is nice. It's the best hand trap this format, and it's also pretty nice because you can go into Lambda, and because your Mekk Knights are psychics, you can keep proccing the effect of Lambda to keep getting a Gamma Negate. That's a really nice position to get into with your Mekk Knights, and it's very hard for your opponent to deal with that. Then I play 3 Forbidden Droplet. So Droplet is just probably the best, in my opinion, the best board breaking card for Mekk Knights, and probably the best board breaking card for most decks this format. It just outs everything. That's why I like the card. It outs pretty much everything, and you have a lot of fodder in this deck. Cards where it's like, if you send it to the grave, it's not the end of the world. So things like your excess Shadow Fusions, your Mekk Knight spells and traps that are on the field sometimes, your Cyframes. It's just nice to have cards like that you can dump in the graveyard with your Droplet, which is nice, which is why I'm playing the Droplet. We then also are going to play 3 Shadow Fusion and 1 Shadow Beast. So I really do like this Shadow package for 2 reasons. Firstly, Winder is amazing and very easy to bring out from the graveyard with this deck as you play 4 Monster Reborn. So you have your 2 World Legacy Secrets, your 1 Succession, and your 1 Monster Reborn. Between all of those, it's nice to bring out a Winder and lock your opponent, and they won't be expecting it a lot of the time. Secondly, obviously, as a going second deck, Shadow Fusion is a card that a lot of the times is going to be live, allowing you to tutor your armor and your beast from the deck, netting you a free draw, and it's going to bait out negate a lot of your opponent. And then if you have Gamma in your hand on top of that, you can prevent their negate. I mean, it's just so many pluses. I really think Shadow Fusion is worth playing in this deck because it does a lot. Alternatively, you could go for more bricks and maybe play 2 different Shadows and play Apollonia instead if you wanted to try and make it negate, but I found Winder was just generally better most of the time, which is why I do play the 3 Shadow Fusion and 1 Beast to bring out that Winder. Then I play 1 Galaxy Cyclone. Galaxy Cyclone is a great card for Mekk Knights for 2 reasons. Firstly, obviously you need to set your columns, so it's nice to have a lot of spells and traps in Mekk Knights because it is pretty important to be able to create a column when your opponent has only put 1 card in the zone, which they will start doing once they know how your deck works. Then the second reason why I think it's really important to play a card like Galaxy Cyclone is that I think it's really, really good to have cards like this that will continue to be useful even when in the graveyard. So you essentially have 2 usages. It allows you to destroy a set or spell or trap on the field, then in the graveyard you can destroy a face-up spell or trap. So I really like having that because it's outed Floodgate so many times. I mean, my opponent will flip a Floodgate, they don't really have a Galaxy Cyclone, then I just out that Floodgate. Then the rest of my one-offs, like those one-off power cards, is going to be the 1 Upstart, 1 Call by the Grave, and 1 Monster Reborn. They're just all good cards, no really other reason than they're all good, and I want to see them all the time. So that gives it for the main deck. It's a nice 40 card main deck, which is going to keep our deck nice and consistent. Now, moving into the extra deck, there are a lot of different ways you can do the Mekk Knight extra deck. I've gone for a kind of utility kind of focus combined with all the different decks I have. So to start off with, we are going to be playing 2 Mekk Knight of the Morning Star, a great link monster for the deck. It's going to search any of your World Legacy cards, which is amazing, and it also is very hard to out for some decks sometimes because it basically can't be destroyed by battle, which is really, really nice. We then play 2 Mekk Knight Crusadia Avramax, similarly very, very good kind of boss monster for your deck, very easy to go into, and allows you to out a lot of different monsters. That's one of the things I like about Avramax, because you do lack some power, attack power in this deck sometimes, but Avramax basically means there's nothing that you can't beat over. We also play the 1 Spectrum Supreme. I don't go into it often, but it's useful for the FTK, and occasionally it does come up. Being able to shoot at any Mekk Knight directly from the deck is nice, and also being able to attack your opponent directly for 3k damage if it's in the only card in its column is amazing, and it has 1 regames more than once. Now moving on from that, we also play 1 Lib the World Key Blade Master. So Lib the World Key Blade Master is a pretty important card, firstly because she combos really nice with Gesu and Word Armor to search a card from the deck, to search a World Legacy card. So usually you're going to be searching one of your World Legacy traps so that you can in next turn bring back a Mekk Knight monster from the graveyard. But the other thing that's great about her is that you're often going to link into Avramax or something with her, and then she's going to be able to shuffle a card on the field into the deck. Now that effect is amazing. That removal just makes her so strong, especially if you go into something like Unicorn. You now have 2 shuffles that your opponent has to deal with. So I really, really do like Lib, and I would say that it is worth bumping her up to 2. You could get rid of Barricade Board Blocker if you wanted and bump her up to 2. Now moving on from that, rest of the cards. So our link twos is going to be 1 IP Masquerena. We often have link fodder on the field, so it's nice to have Masquerena just because it's a good card. 1 Barricade Board Blocker, that's mainly for the FTK. Occasionally you can get into a point where you've messed up your zones or something, or you need to get a Mekk Knight in the grave, that's why you have Barricade Board, but as I've said, you can replace it with Lib. We play 1 Lambda. Lambda's a really good card, very easy to go into with Gamma. Similar reason to Barricade Board Blocker as well, to help the FTK, but I do also like the ability to recycle Gammas and use more Gammas on your opponent's turn. And then the 1 Nightmare Phoenix. Nightmare Phoenix is a great card, just generic spell and trap removal. As for our link freeze, we played Unicorn for the exact same reason as Phoenix, just generic removal. 1 Blackluster Soldier as well. Blackluster Soldier is, in my opinion, a really underrated link monster. Firstly, because its attack can go so high, and secondly, because its ability to banish any card on the field without targeting. Again, it's nice to have those alternate versions of removal. We then play 1 Borrow Sword for ending games because it's good. 1 Omega to go into because very often I'm going to be using that Cyframe on my turn, so it's nice to have Omega, and 1 Winder as a target for Shadow Fusion. Now, the extra deck. The extra deck is really weird with Mekk Knights, and there's lots of different ways you can do it. So the way I've gone in my one is I focused more on just kind of the generic good hand traps that are good for this format, but you can do different things. One of the examples, you can play like a Luna plus Kaiju package in your extra deck. That's a really good removal package that synergizes really well with Mekk Knights for creating columns and outing any threat. You can play Floodgates, so a card like There Can Be Only One works so well on Mekk Knights, and you can put loads of Floodgates like There Can Be Only One, Imperial Order, things like that, to really slow down your opponent when they inevitably force you to go first. Another thing you can do is you can play more ball breakers, so you can play things like Twin Twisters and Cosmic Cyclones. Again, I was focused more on the kind of big swings and advantage, which is why I've gone the way I have. So I played 3 Phantasme, great this format against a lot of decks, but not good enough to be main deck in my opinion. Lancia, 3 Lancia. Lancia is a great card against Dinos, and Dinos is busted right now. 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Evening Match. That's mainly for the back row matchups that I'm just not really 100% confident against. Mekk Knights does do well against back row, but it's about getting those plays started and also swinging that advantage heavily in your favor. Then we play the 3 D Barrier. So D Barrier is just an amazing card, just because it really hardcore stops certain decks like Invoked. They just can't summon at all, and now they're in a really bad position because you've locked them out of fusions. So guys, that is going to be my Mekk Knight in-depth profile. Now what I recommend for you to do is to go into the description, like I've said, download the YDK, try out this profile, but then tutor it more to your playstyle. I've really focused this on the kind of things, the way I play and the way I think, but you might have certain decks that you think are better, so definitely try that out, and then leave a comment, send me a link to some replays so that I can put them up and I can show other people just how good your profile is. But guys, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. It really does help me as a small creator, and I'll be back very, very soon. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.